Hello, friends and neighbors, accomplices and enemies. Welcome to the Carpool Companion. Today, it's Monday, and the 26th, if you are so inclined to numbers and dates, categorizing things, as apparently this vlog is. It's categorized by topic, by date, not by topic, by playlist, by all the things. Sometimes it works out that way, and that is totally a-okay. I am pretty happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. I'm driving anyway. It's might as well just record some content that I like to listen to, that I want to talk about, some stuff that's on my mind. Maybe you vibe with it. Maybe you think that it's annoying. Zach, stop making this crap. I don't want to hear about it. Why you always got to talk about your son, how much you love him? Well, let me tell you about my son and how much I love him, because a lot, a big lot, just like that store, Big Lots. Are there Big Lots still? I feel like they're a very defunct organization. It's like Fred Meyer's, if you know what Fred Meyer's is. Probably don't, to be honest. Having grown up in Washington State, that was a place that you would go. It's not the crazy popular. It's like, I'm sure Walmart was around, but there weren't that many Walmarts. And Targets were around, but there just weren't that many Targets. And so you just went to Fred Meyer. Yeah, that's where you went. So Fred Meyer, it's where I didn't do shopping. I was a kid, but it's where shopping happened. And you could be so lucky to go to Fred Meyer and get yourself. This is like the time of I grew up in the 90s when going to a department store, like you could go to Sears and do all sorts of things. Sears and Macy's. Macy's are still around, but it's like they're not the same. It's funny actually, when I think we were like maybe 4 or 5 months pregnant at the time, and we went to like a mall with Katie's parents, and her mom was so excited about going to some department store. I don't know, JCPenney maybe. And she was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the baby section. There's no baby section anymore, because like all the furniture and stuff, you get it online. You don't buy it at the store anymore. They don't have a section for that. You just get it online. That's how it goes. And, that's just what it is. I don't feel bad about that, but it was so funny because she was like so insistent that we go to this specific store. And then she was just like, oh, I didn't know. And I was like, we could have told you, but, it didn't work out that way. We got dragged along through the entire mall for this disappointment, It was weird, but, times have changed. Places are different. And what the world has to offer is not the same. And that's totally great. Which leads me to my topic, which is expectations and disappointment. So, I recently disappointed someone in my life, and I feel bad in some ways, but at the same time, I don't feel that bad. Like, did I disappoint them, or did their expectations, were they too high for reality? And there's a sense of there's an obligation to not expect too much. And it's kind of in the vein of like Dodgeball, when Vince Vaughn's character is like, yeah, if you never set goals, you're never disappointed. And there is like a very small vein of existence where that's like, yeah, it's true. Like, if you don't set goals, like lofty goals, like I'm going to, achieve this or do this, or I want to win gold, or whatever it is. There's so many goals that you can have in life. But if you don't set lofty goals for the future, and I'm sorry, man, I'm just going to have to cut back in because people are going slow in this left lane. I didn't realize it. Sorry. If you don't set lofty goals, then you never get disappointed by the outcome because you're just doing things that are reachable. And there's something like, it contradicts a little bit of what I'm saying about like, I want to achieve more and I want to have a level of success and, accomplishment in my own life. Like there's something about setting goals that meet your capabilities. And I think that's totally great. It's a wonderful thing to set a goal and, be like, hey, I want to just like incremental goals. Not like I want to win the gold medal at the Olympics, as an amateur or something. Like those are fine goals, but they're not realistic goals in any sense. But anyway, if you set someone to a specific standard, whether it's yourself or someone else, and that, believe me, it happens all the time. People set goals for other people that, number one, they don't know, and number two, they don't have a track of that it's something that they want to accomplish. So, like disappointing other people is way more about them setting goals about something that no one can accomplish, because you set someone else mentally, set them up for failure. And in reality, like, there's no way that I could truly live up to someone's standards. I could set my own goals, and if I fail to... I had a goal, I don't think this is too much, I don't think this is oversharing necessarily, but I had a goal when Katie and I started dating. We were talking about, well, I don't think about goals like this, by the way, so like, don't ask me, but what's your 5-year goal? What do you want to achieve in the next 5 years? And at the time, I was making $20,000 a year. And I said, I want to make $50,000 a year. A very reasonable goal. And incrementally, I reached that goal. It was, it took a while. And, it sucked because I worked plenty of jobs that didn't give me the satisfaction of paying me that $50,000 a year salary. But now I'm there and it's great. And I feel rewarded, but also my work, the product of my work has gone up. And so, justly was I rewarded for the work that I do. And that is how it goes sometimes. And it was an increase in responsibility and then an increase in pay. And those are totally natural and reasonable things to expect as you go from one stage to the next within your professional career, to incrementally take on more responsibility and then also get compensated for that responsibility. So, no big deal. That was the goal. I hit that goal. It only took me 3 years. So, you set a new goal and that's totally cool. But you can't set a goal for someone else mentally and then be disappointed when they don't meet it. And they could be hitting a lot of other metrics, and I hate to say metrics because it's a terrible measurement, even though I haven't even described the metric that someone wasn't hitting. But it's a terrible measurement for the success of somebody, because let's say someone was successful in 6 other fields and they're not really good at one, which is the case. I was successful in all these other aspects of, this person's requirements, but I fell short on one or maybe 2, And so I don't think there's a grade for these things in life. And if there is, it's really weird to have a grade for that. But to set a standard for somebody and then like find that they don't meet that standard, it's just kind of, it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to equate their value or equate their success in many avenues to being whatever, like to being less than successful or less than whatever it is. I just don't find that we can measure fairly, that we can measure someone's success in life by rigid standards like that. And ultimately, at the end of the day, like, expectations are just expectations. They're just these judgments that we place on other people for how they should be, when in reality, expectations are just they're a wish. They're a wish and a whisper in the wind. I wish he was like this. Oh, I wish he didn't do that. Oh man, I want this to happen because I think that it would be cool and better if he was like this, or she had better that. And these are just wishes. They're fake, and expectations are gonna let you down a lot. And I don't feel bad about letting people down a lot of the time. Like, I know it sounds weird, but like, I just don't feel bad about letting people down when they set me to a standard that, number one, I didn't agree with. I didn't agree to these standards. You set them. You're willy-nilly just dictating them, and that's a weird thing to do to someone that you has their own autonomy. And that's not to say that anybody should like, you can't set a standard. If you're my boss, you have a very limited say so about how I operate my life and how I am. You get incremental say so, but you also don't. Like, it's very much a product of me and how I operate. But anyway, expectation will fail you time and time again, because it is a wish and a dream and ultimately not reality. You're expecting one thing based on what? Your own desire, your own interest. Maybe it's the interest of, like, in this spectrum of like a boss, maybe it's in the interest of the company that you work for, that you might, I might do a specific thing or act a certain way to whatever, to some end, because that's your responsibility and that's my responsibility. But at the end of the day, like, setting these expectations just sets us up to fail. It sets you up to fail. It sets me up to fail. Because if I don't meet it, then you have to then complain to me that I'm not meeting these expectations. Oh, your metrics were off. Oh, you didn't do this well enough. And I'm supposed to feel bad about that? Like, to some measure, yes, but also much of me no, because who I am and what I am is not it's not gated by a work thing. I don't know. I just don't care enough. And I don't think a lot of other people care enough. Like, some people are really, really impacted by their job and their output at that job and how it makes them feel. And I'm just not one of those people. And I won't apologize for that. And I could do a lot of I could do things super great and it not be in the structure that you agree with necessarily. But that's kind of like the game that I play, is like, I do things my way, I do them well, and I do them my way. And I can learn to do it your way, but yeah, probably going to do it my way, let's be real. Because it's better. It's just better for me. If you teach me a system and I find a better system, you want me to do your shitty system? It sounds bad. It sounds like a bad idea. It sounds like an idea that someone who wants to be in control made up so they can be in control. And that's just not good business. It's not good business to control people that are self-starters and think independently. You're stifling creativity and you're stifling ingenuity by controlling how things are done. Now, if they're done poorly, that's one thing. But no one in my current role or in my previous role even, like sure, there might have been some judgments about some things, how I handled calls maybe, very rarely. But ultimately, like when I was doing customer service, I was super effective. I listened, I gathered information, I executed, I offered resolution. Those are the benchmarks that I hit. Boom, 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 boom. Now, if I took extra time to help somebody on a problem that didn't know how to sign a document or didn't know how to do something or had to learn how to reproduce a PDF because they wanted to upload it to, like a platform, that's my job also. And you can't just send someone a file sometimes. You have to sit down with them and really work through them. If they're an old person and they need to sign a document, like you need to help them sign that document. You just have to. It's your job. There was this window of time after a call ended. And this is like the biggest gripe was there was a window of time after the call ended, 45 seconds, and it was your wrap up time. And I was getting complaints from my manager that I was taking too much time between calls. But you give me 45 seconds. I am entitled to that 45 seconds to wrap up, which means to take a fucking break, right? So ultimately, what time do I need to give you? What time is there required to be available if that's the only thing I'm supposed to do is wrap up? I'm supposed to take a break for 45 seconds between every call. If every call takes 3 minutes, I'm sorry. It's built into the system. You should change the system where it goes one call into one call into one call. I bet you your turnover would be a hell of a lot higher, but you want to negotiate the system. And it's your system, and I found the way to do things that I want to do, which is take a dang break. So today, now that I'm in a job I'm an independent contributor, now I just do things my own way. And the expectation is I get things done, right? That's from a high level perspective. This is not I want to control Zach, but I want to help Zach get to the place where he can do his job effectively. If I'm already doing my job effectively, if people are happy with the product that I do, that I'm turning over projects 5 a week, and I get stuff done, you can't even complain. Could I be a little more communicative about those things? Sure, but that's what my wife says too. You just need to communicate more. Okay. I'm a fine communicator, but I got to get to the point where I'm communicating, and that's really the question. So, coming back to it, expectations equals disaster. The only person that's going to be disappointed with the expectations that they set is the person that set the expectations. They are literally building a trap in which they will fail. And I don't want to fail. So I'm going to go get my son. I'll be right back. Let's go, Bloy. Doot, 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 doot. All right. Well, back in the car. Let me tell you, feels good. Feels good to get your hands on your baby again. He was so happy to see me, just laying on the floor, and he was on a boppy. It's like a U-shaped pillow. He had his head in the middle, and he was just living his best dang little life. And that's how it feels to be a parent sometimes. You show up, and it's just like, oh yeah, the reason I do things is that little bundle of joy, that little morsel that I am responsible for. It's not as grim as it sounds, I think, but he's great. Yeah, feels good to be a dad doing dad things, and in general, just being the role model my son deserves. And that's great. Back to expectations about life and about work and about doing all the things that you're supposed to do. The expectations to be a certain way as a husband and as a father. As a husband, a little harder. I think as a father, I do all right. I'm responsive and thoughtful and understanding and all the things that I think an emotionally intelligent individual should be. As a husband, maybe not the best husband always. I think there's a lot of things that I fall short in, and I think that's where humility comes in. As much as expectations about what I should be may not hit the mark, as a husband, you can save a lot of face by being humble in the face of your partner and in the reality that you're just not perfect. And perfection, first of all, is a lie. No one's perfect. No one has it all figured out. Certainly no one has all the answers. So there's something very good about being humble and having a sense of humility about the way that you operate in life. It's important. It's important to, and I think it's same thing in the sense of work also, just like social media. There's so many examples of times when humility is the saving grace can be the saving grace for so many people, and in so many lines of logic and in so many disciplines and circumstances, and I could just keep on adding things to the list, but in reality I don't have to, because they are what they are. And you don't have to keep listing things, because humility is accepting things as the way they are and accepting yourself as the way you are. It doesn't mean that you can't improve. You can't be a better whatever, X, Y, and Z. But those are just kind of the path to recognize that, you can make mistakes, but also you can make those things right. And as a father, so far I haven't made too many mistakes, blatant ones that my son's gonna hate me for yet. But as a husband, there's plenty of room for mistakes, and there's plenty of room to fix those mistakes. As an employee, humility, coming back into it, whether it's at a high level where you're a supervisor or a low level where you're a subordinate, you have the opportunity to demonstrate a lot of humility, a lot of understanding, and a lot of patience. And all these things are just really good for anybody. It's good for everybody to learn how to approach your expectations with a sense of humility. Like, people make mistakes, and also you make mistakes. Your judgments can be flawed, and there's fallacies in every line of our lives. And just to open to the reality that our logic can be wrong, and our approaches can be wrong, and we can remedy those approaches with tact, whether it's our approaches or somebody else's approach, if you're in a position to change it. But not everybody's in a position where they can make things change. You can't fix everything. you can't fix things that are above you sometimes. And that sucks, because sometimes the things that are above you are the worst things, are the things that are the most critical to your progression in your career. In relationships, it's not very good when someone above you is, like, bad. They make bad choices and their logic isn't sound. But like, there's a very significant impact when somebody in a relationship, like a parent, to a child, there could be real lasting negative impacts. And for a child to tell a parent, like, this is wrong, and it's wrong because it's hurting me. I mean, there's so many examples, and I don't even want to go into them, but, the expectations of one thing versus another. I don't know what's going on in front of me. We're going really slow. That's so slow. Anyway. Yeah. Setting expectations as a parent, let's say, for your child to be something more than what it already, what it's supposed to be, than what it's supposed to be, which is just a child. Children don't have to be something crazy special or like be perfect. That's such a bogus thought. And to set parameters on your child to be, more than what they can be, or are normally and on average, like, it just sucks. But also to expect your kids, like, and in certain situations, expect your kids to pick up the slack, or that they owe you something. Ooh, man, that is the most toxic situation, and one that I wouldn't wish on anybody. Like, I think about some things that I've witnessed in my friends' lives and in my own life, that I'm just like, why would a parent do that? Why would they force this narrative on another person? The expectation, well, you're gonna be better than that. You're gonna do more. My God, it's terrible. And that is the flaw in our logic as parents, to expect something. Wesley's just a baby, okay? So it's good that I'm having these thoughts now, but like, Wesley's just a baby. What does he know? He doesn't know anything. And why should there be an obligation for him to do something? I can't accomplish half the things that, people set out for. How could I expect him to support me in some way? Like, how could I expect? He doesn't owe me anything. But that's what love in so many ways is, like, that exchange of love for love with no return policy. There's no expectation of being a certain way. That's what unconditional love is. And to the point where when I talked about on my vlog for the first chapter of the 4 agreements, there is no thing that someone has to be to receive your love. And the agreement that, well, you better be this certain way, you better be a good boy, or you better do the thing, go and perform for us, little boy, little girl, sing that song, terrible, objectifying. And ultimately, it is just bad. It's bad for everybody. And everyone suffers when this happens. So it creates a I don't know what the word is, but it's like generational trauma, basically. Like, that is what you're instilling in your children. Like, when you look at how your parents acted, and then, I mean, it's for me, nothing against my parents. I love them very much, but they were they were just trying to get by in their own lives. And that's what every parent is trying to get by. And one thing that my parents never did was they never took us on a vacation. 0 times have I ever been on a vacation between the ages of 0 and 18 years old. Ever. Never. The idea that my parents got me anything that was worth a damn in terms of a gift, in terms of, like, there was just so much selfishness in my family when it came to money and when it came to being able to go out and do something meaningful. I took more trips. I feel bad because it sounds like I'm just ranting on my parents and, shitting all over them. But, like, I took more trips on my own as an adult, than I ever took being, I even took more trips. Let's just take it back one more step. I took more trips with my friends' family and with my friend, like this kid wasn't even my friend. He was just like a classmate of mine that I was like cool with. But like, I took more trips with that one kid hanging out, going to Eastern Washington and like one other place. Like, I spent more time hanging out with him and his dad than I ever did doing something with my parents. And that says a lot. But now, coming back to it, the expectation that I would be able to, that looking at Katie's family, where she traveled all the time and she got to go do things, and they had one less kid, but to look at our two different lives and be like, wow, like I missed out. And again, kind of also talks about yesterday, like, wow, comparing your life to my life. It's not always a good thing that you compare lives, but it's good to see that there are options out there and people live different lives. But in my own life now, I want my son to be able to travel. I want my son to experience the world. I want my son, if he's not going to experience the world, at least get out of the damn state one time. I know, buddy. I know. So I want my son to travel. And I think that's awesome. And I wouldn't have anything less for him because it's worth it. It is absolutely necessary that he has that opportunity. And I wouldn't deprive him of that. And the expectation that he's going to see the world, that's going to be built into him. That he has the opportunity. One that I didn't have. This is generational. But I don't want my son to think that he can't go to a course during the summer, or he can't go and do something for himself during the summer because, oh, you got to hang out with me, or you got to go and do, oh, we got to clean the house, or what, like all these thoughts about how I want it to be. Like, I have to think about what it's like to him, to be him, what it's like going to be for him in 10 years, in 20 years. Opportunities are calling. His cousins, he's going to hang out with his cousins. His aunts and uncles, he's going to get to know them, and he's going to be able to spend time with them. He's going to get to know them just more than people that he randomly sees once in a while. Like, expectations can crush us if we let them control us. And to move past these ideas of constraining us, it's just, I don't want my son to live that life. And I also don't want him to be limited by generational belief. But Wesley's back there. He's ready to go. I'm at home. And I've been talking for a hot minute. 34 minutes. Holy crap. Well, this will be a long video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Enjoy the day. And let's get out of here. Anything to say, buddy? You got something to say? What do you have to say to the people, Wesley? And that's all for today. Have a wonderful day, everybody.